What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Transfer Portal podcast brought to you by NoContextCFB. It's your host, Brian. I got my boy, Andrew. Andrew, how you doing today?
Man, we're still 4 months away, but I'm pretty good, man. Pretty excited, pretty relaxed. Draft's over. I'm just chilling, really. I'm
Yeah,
pretty much at a very uneventful time right now. Kind of just breezing through.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we're a long ways. We're, we're still a long ways to go from. But also have Fredi with us. Fredi, how are you doing today?
Good. I am 3 days away from graduation, so
Congrats to you.
That's awesome.
I'm ready.
I'm very proud of you.
Congratulations. Yeah, definitely. Congratulations. We have a few graduates or kids are some of our guys are in school, so we're definitely pulling for them to get through their finals. I know we're down the final stretch here, the school year, at least this semester. So I wish everybody good luck on that. But so we are still a way away from, like I mentioned, we're still a way away from the start of this season. Things are slowing down a little bit. So today there's no floor, no topics, no. It's free speech Tuesday. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. There's no topics today. So whatever's on your mind, let it out. And there's a therapy session. You want to talk about something you don't like, go for it. If you want to talk about something that it's been in your mind for a long time, go for it. So this is pretty much what today's about. So I'm going to go first, if y'all don't mind. This is something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's been every single football season. It still kind of irks me, which is ranking teams in the preseason. I think that ranking teams we shouldn't rank teams. The AP should not exist until halfway through the season. Honestly, I think we should just get rid of the rankings and just have the college football playoff rankings be the only rankings and be the first ranking of the season. That's my opinion. Because it kind of sets a precedent. You've seen it, and we've seen it in the years past about where, like Clemson last year, they were ranked number 3 or number 5 or whatever. 3, they ranked 3rd. They lost to Georgia, and they lost a few games early on, and they were still ranked. I think they were 25th, and they were like 1-3 or something like that. Or no, they were 3-1, but they had played some really bad games, but they were still ranked like 25th or whatever. And it's just atrocious. You shouldn't have rankings in the preseason. It just the AP doesn't like being wrong, and they're going to do whatever it takes to kind of justify what they think is right. And I don't know. We shouldn't have ranked teams in the preseason. We should wait until week 8 or whatever it is when the college football playoff rankings come out. Those should be the true first ranking of the season, and that really gives everybody a blank canvas to really rank these teams accordingly. Because I think it really makes a team being number 1 in the preseason, it's kind of hard. They kind of stick around in the top 10 or top 15 for a while, regardless of how they're doing. So that's kind of what I wanted to start off with today. And I think the college football will be better if we do stop ranking teams so early.
That's never going to happen. Whether we like it or not, it's just never going to happen. I'm going to tell you why. It's because it's the politics of college football, and that's really just the way it is. We want I wouldn't say we. I'd say more of like your ESPNs, your CBSs. They want the headlines of a top 5 matchup going into week 1. They want the college game day publicity that entails the ranking. If we win, it feels like the number one thing that people debate is how many ranked teams do you have this season? It totally all goes into the. Do I agree that they're stupid? Yeah, I agree that they're stupid. Do I think the rankings are stupid at times? Do I think the AP is absolutely out their mind? Yes, because it took them forever to rank SMU when they were hot. It took them forever to rank Houston when they got hot. It took a couple good weeks for Cincinnati to eventually get into the top 4. I think they were like 9th going into preseason. But the main point is
UTSA.
Yeah, it took them forever. Like they didn't even get into the playoff rankings until like the fourth rankings that were unveiled, and we thought they should have been in there the very first week, which was like week 8, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody likes it. It's just talking points. It's just for headlines. It's just for politics. It's just for publicity. It's just for the media markets to get in. It's for College Game Day to talk up your top 10, top 15 matchups. That's all it is for. And nobody likes, it's always the matter of everyone thinks their favorite team is too low. Everybody thinks that their rival is too high. It's just the way that it plays out. We can sit here and we can talk about how we don't want it to exist, but we have to bite the bullet and just admit the fact that like it's never going to go away, because guess what? When college football isn't going on or college basketball isn't going on, how often are people going to the Associated Press's website to get, any page? AP is not going to do it. Let's be honest. I don't give a rat's ass what the APs. I don't care what the Associated Press has to say from March until September. I really don't. They're not my main. They're not the website I go to for news. They're not, I can't, Associated Press is just a combination of websites and media markets just to get stories out. They need the eyeballs. They need clicks. It's what they want. And whenever you see those graphs put out by Reddit CFB and putting out like every voter's like top 25 ballot, we all think like, oh my God, it's stupid. Like how could they have this team ranked this low? How could they have this team ranked this high? I remember at one point I saw Texas A&M being ranked in the top 15 after they beat Alabama, even though they just came off of 2 straight losses prior. But it's, we don't like it. I certainly am not a fan of it. I really don't agree with it, because you could take, if I would have known this would have came up, this topic would have came up, I would have taken the preseason top 25 of last season, compared it to what the last AP top 25 was, and I guarantee you we're looking at least 12 teams that were not ranked. So I am with you, the fact that like, yes, they're stupid, and you really don't know how good a team really is until you get to the sweet core of the middle of the conference play. But the media, they want the rankings. College Game Day, they want the rankings. It's just for media publicity. That's all it's for.
Yeah, I mean, from like my perspective of it, like last season specifically, like Arkansas went into the Texas game, right? And we were so excited, and we're like, we're beating a ranked team. Well, that wasn't as impressive as it would have been, a couple games later. So like that, like kind of like preseason, like very early on, like ranking didn't mean as much as it definitely thought it did. But yeah, no, it's like I can get the early and like the preseason, but like after like game 2, then it's like we're gonna hear people's opinions no matter what. And it's fun. I see it as fun versus an actual like problem for people. I mean, it gives fans something to attach to with anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's when it's good, like when your team is doing well, you love it, and when your team isn't doing well, you don't love it. But I think by the end of the year, you pretty much have the right teams up there anyway. So it is a very petty complaint, I think, but at the same time, I just think that I think it'll make college football better by not knowing, like how good these teams are, because you kind of look at the ranking and you kind of assume, okay, yeah, second, Penn State is ranked 8th, so they must be really good, and they're playing 16th ranked Wake Forest, so they should beat up on Wake Forest. But if you take the rankings away, you really don't know. Like you kind of add these matches. So so that's what I think. But it's like Andrew said, yeah, it's not going away. It's not going to change anything anytime soon. But I think it would make for a better story, not knowing, what ranking these teams are, and then it'll even add more anticipation for when their rankings actually come out in week 8. So that's what I think. But
now here's a
I
question I
digress
think
from
about.
that topic.
If we got rid of preseason rankings onto this season, I feel like it's almost a confirmed that we're going to get Oregon versus Florida State and Georgia versus Oregon. I believe that's the season opener for next season. If there was no such thing as preseason rankings, they probably do get that college game day because of, let's just be honest, the pedigree that both programs hold, even though I don't think Oregon's going to be that good. I saw that they have the second best odds to win the Pac-12. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But, once we start going to the first month, it really does beg the question of how do we judge, what's the best game of the week if we don't have these rankings? Like I said, I'm not a fan of preseason rankings, because you can only gain so much after watching one game. How many times do we see a team look so bad in the beginning and then look so good towards the end? I think Utah is the absolute perfect example of that. However, it's kind of needed because it does build the PR, whether we like it or not. We can call ourselves purists all we want, and we only care about what's on the tape. But at the end of the day, we do need these rankings because it does create media conversations, and we do not like it, but it is needed, and I don't like it. But it's one of those things that I don't think we take enough into consideration. We don't care about the rankings themselves. We just care about the conversation that builds around the rankings.
Yeah, no, definitely. You make really good points on that. But I digress on this topic. I could go on and on about it for hours. Andrew, what about you? What is something that you want to bring to the table here on this free speech podcast?
So here's a question that's kind of like gotten into my mind the last week, actually. So everyone's been asked the question of, if you were a 5-star player, where would you go? And let's be honest, a lot of people, they say, they'll say the big names like Alabama, Georgia, your Notre Dame. They're going to pick I wouldn't say your blue bloods, but your big names, your top 10 recruiting classes every year anyways. Now let's think about this. Would you pick those same schools considering the geography? Because let's just be honest right off the bat. Nobody wants to live 4 years in Alabama. I've been to South Bend before. I don't think it's the most pretty city. Nobody wants to live 4 years in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma. I know that's just outside OKC, but guess what? You're Oklahoma. You're in the middle of nowhere anyways. College Station, you know what? I've been to College Station. It's a pretty college town, but it's not the type of town you'd like to go to have a good time in the middle of the night. If you want to go out for a good night, College Station is not that type of town. So when asking that, if we took these really bad areas, like Alabama and maybe even Ole Miss to an example, even though it's like an hour away from Memphis, do we still view those schools the same way? Like, what I'm asking is, what college towns are like in the best setting, and what college towns are like in the worst, if that makes sense? I would like to think that you guys know what I'm saying here, but like, Fredi, let's go to you. What is one college town that you think is in the best setting, like best geography setting, and who's got the worst?
Okay, so this past fall, I went to Ole Miss in Alabama. Hands down, and I've been to other SEC stadiums before. So like, this is kind of an SEC opinion, but out of where I've been, and I've been to a number of stadiums, Oxford, Mississippi is probably the worst place I have ever been in my entire life. Ole Miss was like fun and cute and cool. Oh, he's gone. Like, Ole Miss was fun and cute and cool, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It's not. It's kind of close to like Memphis, kinda. It's not even close to Shreveport or any of like the big Alabama cities. It's in Mississippi. It's like the worst geography. It smells so bad in just the entire city. It smells so bad. That might just be a game day weekend smell, but it just like the geography of it. I know people who go there that are just miserable because there's nothing to do. Like in Fayetteville, like, yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere, but we're 3 hours from Kansas City, 2 hours from Little Rock, 2 hours from Oklahoma City, which is still in the middle of nowhere, but at least it's accessible. Honestly, probably like the best geography, probably say Dallas. Any of the Dallas schools. I mean, I'm kind of biased coming from Dallas, but like,
You're saying like your TCUs, your SMUs, that sort of thing?
yeah, I was gonna say SMU. SMU and TCU are pretty solid. Like they're just centrally located and there's a lot of stuff to do. Like it is worth it long term to be there because it's a lot of connections that you can make in different industries. Like in Fayetteville, there's just Walmart. I mean, there are a couple other things like JB Hunt and other things, but there's just not any like long-term job connections. If you decide you're not going to go to the draft, you're not going to go to the NFL, like, and you want to get like a regular job, that's not happening unless you're like making those connections. So I would say like SMU, TCU, UNT.
So even though you were born in, essentially you're a red Razorback through and through, you're not a fan. You're not a fan of the Fayetteville geography.
I've lived here for the past 4 years, and I can't say that I've had the best time because there's really nothing to do, and it's a growing city, and I can't discount that, but there's just nothing to do out here, especially in comparison to being born and raised in Dallas. Like as an Arkansas fan, there's only Arkansas here. Like this is the only thing to do around here, unless you want to hike, and that gets pretty old real quick.
So look, you obviously have better info on this than me. I'm sure University of Arkansas is beautiful, okay? And there's a reason why University of Arkansas has won the most conference titles out of all sports other than football over the last 10 years, if I have that information correctly. Like they dominate swimming. They have a really good golf. They have among the best golf programs in the country. I know that for a fact about Arkansas. But here's the truth about. But here's my preach on Arkansas as a state. Whenever I drive, whenever I'm on a road trip and I have to drive through Arkansas, I'm trying to find a way to say this so nicely, but unfortunately, I'm just not going to be able to. But once I cross the Texarkana border, once I cross Texarkana going into Arkansas, I try to hold off on any restroom breaks. I try to hold off on any eats. I try to hold off on just getting out the car. If I'm in the car ride and I've been told like, hey, we just passed Texarkana, I just simply say, don't get out of this car until we get to Memphis. I mean,
get out of the car at Memphis?
I'd rather get out of
Memphis?
I'd rather get out of the car in Memphis than I would in Arkansas. Wholeheartedly. I'm sorry, but there has never been a time that I've drove through Arkansas, and I don't care if it's Little Rock, I don't care if it's in the hick towns, I don't care if it's like the Hot Springs area. I have never stepped out the car in Arkansas and actually have a decent smell come to my nose. Every time I step out the car when I'm in Arkansas, it just smells horrible. It smells it smells like a Mexican gas station everywhere I step out. And I'm sorry, look, my family's Mexican. I'm allowed to say that, okay? So nobody get at me in regards to that. But wholeheartedly, the whole state of Arkansas, it sucks. I am sorry. Look, and you just admitted yourself, I could not imagine myself going to the University of Arkansas just for the sole purpose that there's absolutely nothing around me for almost 2 to 4 hours. I just can't do it. I really just cannot do it. It's just me. I just cannot do it. And honestly, I've lived here in the Southeast for the last 15 years. And the idea of living in Alabama, look, I visited Tuscaloosa. I actually almost went to school in Tuscaloosa coming out of high school. I visited the campus. It's a beautiful campus. But the reason why it's a beautiful campus is because they have to make it look beautiful. So you are given no excuse to leave that campus. I'm being dead serious. I've been to Birmingham, and Birmingham is a growing city. It is a growing city. I'll give it that. But it's not a place that I want to live in for an extended period of time. It's really not. Ole Miss, like, I'm sorry, Mississippi is just humidity as hell. I don't want to live in. I really do not want to live in Mississippi just for the sake of Mississippi is a terrible state. It's one of the poorest states in the country. There's just nothing about it that like makes me want to like go there. At least if I went to like, my like look, I'm not a Miami guy myself. Miami is not a place that I'd go on vacation, but like at least Florida has constant weather throughout the year. Okay, I can give them that. Okay, I'm just not the Vice Miami type person, so I'm not going to make that as my best geography. But in terms of like me, Ohio State, like I could do Ohio State, even though it'll get cold in the winter. And like I was born and bred in the cold. At least Ohio is not overly hot. Whenever I go back to my high school days, and we did the 2-a-days in August. Oh, he's back. He's
back. I do have some comments on Tuscaloosa.
Brian, TikTok, you here? He'll figure it out.
Yeah, sorry about that. Don't know what happened. Just been having issues today. But I'm back.
Yeah, you missed out on a great conversation. So Fredi just got done talking about how she somewhat hates where she goes to school at. She don't hate the university. She just hates what's surrounding it. And what did you say was the bit? You said Dallas. You said the Dallas area, like your SMU, TCU. Oh yeah, I'm not sure if you're here for that, but we were talking about, best geography schools. So like she likes the Dallas area for TCU and SMU because, she likes the city of Dallas. There's a lot to do there. Whereas she says that like Arkansas's got among the worst because there's nothing to do there but hike. I just got done going on a tangent about how I hate going to Arkansas. I hate going to Arkansas because it's a smelly state. Mississippi is a smelly state. Those are places that I could not imagine going to school for 4 years or want to live there for 4 years. Alabama's the same way. I feel like I could do Ohio State. I think I've been to Columbus a few times. Columbus is a beautiful city. It's a developing city, but it's developing in a nice way. It's a capital city. It's one of the fastest growing markets in the country. So honestly, Ohio State they are like in among prime positions. I got to give, this is obviously going to be a biased opinion, but Madison, Wisconsin, I love Madison. I've been there a couple times already. I love that city to my heart. Okay, that is a town where there's bars everywhere. There's bars on every street. There's so much good food around. You're literally on 2 lakes right there. It's another capital city. It's the perfect city of A, college experience, but B, it's a real life city. It's one of the fastest growing cities in America. It was recently named the best city to live in by some newspaper or magazine. And like, I thoroughly love Madison because you're right there on the lakes. There's a lot of good golf in the area. I know I'm a golf fan here. Not a lot of people are, but I love Madison. I could totally live there. When I went there for a Wisconsin game last year, part of me wishes I would have bit the bullet and paid the $30,000 a year in out-of-state tax tuition. I loved it that much, and if I ever got a job offer to go there, I would totally do it. So, and I think it really important for me when it comes to work, like best city sites, like best college city sites. I'm trying to think of in terms of like, you want to go to a city where it's an authentic college feel, but at the same time, it's not too big. It's not too corporate. It's, it's got the right balance of, and he's gone again. Brian's having a really, really bad day right now. But,
yeah.
And another city that I really, really love in terms of like a college atmosphere, but also a real life city is Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Brian,
Yeah.
are you here for real now, or what's the deal? What's going on?
We can just ignore him.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
We're just gonna annoy you about this the whole time.
It hasn't been, yeah, I don't know what's going on. But don't mind me. Just keep doing your thing. If I'm here, I'm here. I don't want to ruin this. So, but I heard everything
We're
you
getting
said,
great
though.
content out of this though, but
I heard everything you said, though. Yeah. Let me just jump in real quick before I lose my internet again, because that's probably going to happen. Yeah, I think that see, I'm torn because I love college towns. There's something about college towns, like small college towns. Like you said, like because Madison is in a big old city, right? It's a small town, right? Or is it? No, isn't it the capital of Wisconsin?
It's capital of Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah. But like because it's like so if I had to pick somewhere to go to school, I would Austin, Texas, UT. Would I want to go to a big old city or somewhere like Lubbock, Texas, or College Station, or Athens, Georgia, or Gainesville, Florida? These small college towns were built for the university itself. I feel like there's character in those towns, but the big cities, you have everything in the big city, and you don't have to go too far to find whatever you need to find. And I feel like there's the atmosphere of college football as well are better in these small towns where the whole town comes to the games and the atmosphere is just different. So no, I agree with you 100%. I think that that small college towns for football season specifically it's the way to go. But like overall, I wouldn't mind going to a big city for school. So yeah, I think that's an interesting conversation though, for sure.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, I was just gonna say real quick about Austin, real quick. The reason why I think it's a great college town. It's a lot like Madison too, where there's bars everywhere. It's got a really good nightlife. But the big thing about Austin is that there's a reason why Bijan Robinson got that NIL deal with Lamborghini when he did, and I think that's honestly something that we should touch on a little bit. It's because so many companies are going to Austin. There's a reason why Tesla and Google went to Austin. There's a reason why those places went to Austin. It's because it's a growing tech city. Austin was founded around the University of Texas, and it's just all of a sudden just got growing. And truthfully, it's growing faster than what the city can handle because the traffic in that city always sucks. But the good thing about Austin is you've got a really good blend of real life, work, college and real life balance. You got some great business opportunities there. I totally love Austin. I really do. Well, I don't really love Austin because it's always a pain to drive through that city. But like if you're a college student and you want the balance of like of a college town and a real life city, Austin really is the way to go. So yeah, in terms of best college towns that I would totally live in that I think are in the best settings would be Columbus, Ohio, Madison, Wisconsin, and Austin, Texas. I really would, and there probably is something about, going to smaller towns, but truthfully, there's a reason why these colleges and he's gone again, but there's a reason why these small college towns, they try to build the colleges as best as they can is because they don't want to give you a reason to leave, like I guarantee you the reason why so many football recruits go to Alabama is not just for the quality of the football there. They go there because they make the university and the football facility so nice that they don't give them any reason to leave. You don't even feel like you're in the state of Alabama. The only thing that feels like Alabama around you is the university name. You probably don't even think about the fact that you're in the actual state itself.
Yeah, and I mean, when I went to Alabama, I stayed essentially on campus. And I can say that the difference between campus, just the stark difference between campus and what's not campus is it's incredible. I mean, good for the University of Alabama. Good for them for investing in that and making that a thing. But here in Fayetteville, and I'm going to talk about Fayetteville because I've lived here for the past 4 years. our it's fun. We got a good music scene. Like, we've got some stuff like right off of campus, and the city is nice. Like the area is nice. Like it's not like a bad place to live in Northwest Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas. Let me say, Northwest Arkansas is not a bad place to live. But you're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna get a public intox. You're gonna get a minor in possession. A lot of these football kids aren't going to be 21 until they're juniors or seniors, and it just that like also that like, hey, oh, you're gonna get this while you're here. My dad's making me a trophy, like the little plastic trophies that like you can give kids. And my dad's getting one that said, like I never got like a public intox or a minor in possession because I never went. I like that was never like my thing. So it's like, just kind of like outweighing like those also like things to do and like how in trouble are you gonna get, and then like I don't know, that's my thing. But
So so until Brian gets back, which I don't even know is going to happen anymore. But I'm just gonna rally off a couple college towns that we just think like, are they in a good setting or are they in a bad setting? Just to let's just like tread waters a little bit here. Let's start with Vanderbilt and Nashville, Tennessee. Now, look, Vanderbilt, obviously terrible football school, but let's just be honest, it's one of the best schools in the country. There's no denying that, and it's in Nashville. Let's like we gotta take is Nashville is that like prime a really really good city to spend a 4 years in? Because let's be honest, you can do a lot of good damage in Nashville.
I mean, you could do a lot of good damage in Nashville, but is there anything other than Nashville you can access?
Yeah,
I mean, you can access the Smoky Mountains.
Look, Tennessee's got some beautiful nature. They really do. This is my main issue with Tennessee. Knoxville, Memphis, and Nashville, they are not close to each other. I swear to God, they are all like 3 hours away from each other. I remember one time I had to drive through Nashville, but in order to get to Nashville, I had to go through Memphis. When we reached Memphis and we had to see how long of a drive we had until to get to Nashville, we were told like 3.5 hours. And I was like, it's honestly the equivalent of going from Texarkana to Little Rock, because like you feel like you're getting close, but truthfully, you're really not. You're looking at a good 2 to 3 hours plus minimum, and if a country music scene is your scene, and if you do like a lot of like these Southern style bars, then you know what, maybe you can make Nashville work for 4 years. You really could, but it just doesn't make sense a whole lot to me. I mean, it actually does. Yeah, I think I could do Nashville. It's not the first city that comes to mind in terms of like I want to go there. But at the same time, it's like if you took the city and you used the city to like push me to join that university, I think I could do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would, if I was smart enough to get into Vanderbilt, it wouldn't be a bad choice, especially for 4 years. I mean, no matter what you want to do afterwards, like it's a pretty solid choice.
All right, let's go off to another city. This city, I'm going to go ahead and let you get a couple, roll off a little bit of your ideas, but I just got to put this one out. Ann Arbor, Michigan. Here's the thing about Ann Arbor. It is literally right outside Detroit. Even when I lived in Wisconsin, I still didn't feel safe being that close to Detroit. That's how bad Detroit is. I could be on the other side of the lake and I still don't want to be close to Detroit. That's the whole honest truth. Like, look, I guarantee you, like Ann Arbor, Michigan, University of Michigan is among the best schools in the Midwest, especially for a public school. The main issue is that you are close to Detroit. And I pray to God, I've never been to the University of Michigan myself, but I pray to God that the university itself is in a position where you have zero reason to go to the big city. I do not feel safe being that close to Detroit. I don't ever want to be that close to Detroit. But Ann Arbor is a city I heard is beautiful. I've heard they got really good nature outside that city. That maybe West Side. Whenever you stay away, go opposite side of Detroit, it's probably really nice. But I'm gonna go ahead and give props to Michigan. Like, truthfully, if the university itself is as nice as I've heard it is, and I guarantee you it actually is, I probably could do Ann Arbor. But the fact that you are in that bad of a city in such close proximity to the actual college town, I am just like, part of me doesn't want to go there, even if Ann Arbor is the best college town in America.
Yeah, I know someone who goes there and they really love it. I don't think they're planning on staying. I think they're going to come back to Dallas. But, just, I'm so anti-cold that is definitely a factor for me. But I don't know. I mean, it could really go either way depending on who you are. It's not as kind of definitive as Nashville would be.
All right, give me one.
Gainesville or Boulder would probably be my answer too.
In terms of which one of the two I'd rather pick?
Yeah.
Probably Boulder. And the reason why I go with Boulder is because it is right outside Denver. I think it's actually part of the Denver metropolitan area, if I'm not mistaken. Gainesville, from my understanding, is not your typical Florida city that you think of. It's not a beach town. It's there's a reason why they call it the swamp, is because the university is literally built on a swamp, and that area is extremely humid. That part is true. It's factual. And it's kind of what goes back to what I was saying about Miami. I don't consider myself to be a very Florida person. It's a place I'd go to on vacation if I was going for a golf trip. But in terms of actual, is Florida a state that I really want to live in for 4 years? Not really. But in terms of Boulder, Colorado, you know what? I've heard really beautiful things about Colorado. I've heard Colorado is fantastic for hiking. I heard it's great for golf. I've heard that it has a really good I am massive into casinos. I love going to casinos. I love betting on sports. They have legalized sports. They have legalized gambling, something that Texas does not have. So I'll take that in a heartbeat. I like the cold, so I could totally do Colorado during the winter. Downside to playing in Colorado is you're in such high altitude. So if you're exercising outside, you better get an oxygen tank ready. But between Gainesville and Boulder, I would totally do Boulder 10 times out of 10. Also, there's one thing that's legal in Colorado that's not legal in Florida, but we don't have to go there right now.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree because, it just honestly the humidity of Gainesville and Florida. But, it like a quality of life kind of thing. The amount of money that it takes to live in both of those places is pretty comparable, actually. Rent for students, it's probably actually a lot higher in Boulder. I haven't checked recently, but it's just a totally different life than what I'm living right now, which is so weird. Imagine being in a better place.
All right, so Brian kind of said what he was saying about the rankings. I said what I said about the college station, about the college towns. What would you say? What would you say is on your mind then?
I'm just thinking about the Pitt State uniforms. That's all I've been thinking about today. Is Pitt State uniforms.
Are they boring? Are they unique? Are they?
I would like to hear your opinion before I go off on my tangent.
It's the perfect example of it is so simple that it works, but it's still boring to me. I would like to see Penn State just once, just for one game out the year. I don't care if you play Michigan State. In fact, if you play Michigan State, I think that would be the best time to release an alternate uniform.
I'm talking about Penn State.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, but whenever Penn State plays Michigan State, I'm trying to open up a window of opportunity for Penn State to wear an alternate uniform is what I'm trying to do.
No. Pitt State.
Oh, Pitt State?
Yeah, Pitt State. As in
Oh.
like Pitt State, like Kansas.
That is not one that I anticipated to hear today. Okay. I just went on a. Okay, I don't. Yeah, I'm not even familiar with them. Okay, they look like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because so Pitt State is real close to Arkansas, like very close, like within 2 hours ish, depending on how fast you drive. And it's just they get consistently ranked by like Boomer on Twitter and like just other like media personalities as having one of the best like uniforms. And I just don't agree. And that might make some people around here mad at me. But when you're when your mascot's a gorilla, is that the color scheme, like what are you doing with your uniform to make you stand out as like a solid contender? And they aren't really doing that, but my whole thing is like they get consistently ranked, and I just saw it today that Boomer like ranked them, and I was like, really? I can't say that Arkansas has the best, but like there's definitely a lot better ones.
I mean, the thing with Pitt State is that it's different. And let's just be honest. I think something that I've learned about college football uniform rankings is it doesn't matter if you're good or not. What matters is if you're different. And if you're different, you're gonna get things work. Like, do I think all of Oregon uniforms are Picasso beautiful? Absolutely not. I really, but do they put out some really good quality ones out there that definitely flash the eye? Yes, and that's why they consistently get ranked in among the best, and that's why they always get talked about as the best. It's because they're different. As long as you have a different idea, here's the thing. You can only go one of two ways. You can either be different or you can keep the same thing every week, and it's going to work. You cannot like try to divide the two, which is what I think some universities try to do. Like, let's just be honest. Nobody's going to ever argue Alabama's uniforms. They're never going to argue, your typical Scarlet Ohio State uniforms, your Michigan uniforms, your Georgia to an extent, even Notre Dame, I think, is the big one with the navy blue jersey and the gold helmet. USC is the biggest one, probably. I think USC's uniforms are consistently talked about in terms of its tradition, but at the same time, it's flashy at the same time. If you have a tradition week in, week out, and you don't really change, you're gonna get talked. But let's just be honest, you kind of have to have a blue blood background in order to pull that off, which is kind of what I just named with all these with a lot of these schools. But like schools like Texas A&M, Oregon, I think Texas goes back to the whole tradition, making it work week in, week out. I think they've got among the best. But I think Oregon and Texas A&M are probably among the biggest. TCU, massive name. These are schools that they get talked about as having among the better ones because they do something different that nobody else does. And I think they deserve credit for that, because if you can come up with original ideas to how you lay out the uniform, you're going to get talked about, you're going to get likes, you're going to get clicks on social media. You just have to make sure it works. We've seen Florida do the freaking gator skin uniform, and that was some of the worst things that I've ever seen. I've seen Michigan State pull off the giant green state name across the chest. Those are just things that don't work. Like, it's one thing to be different, it's another thing to be stupid, and that's exactly what were those two flawed right there. Also, Ohio State, I literally just praise you on the traditional Scarlet uniforms, but I gotta give a little shade to Liam here. Liam, you ranking Ohio State's retro uniforms with the scarlet and gray stripes, that was horrible, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to convince me otherwise. Nothing ever.
Cardinal sin.
That's a
committed a sin.
Scarlet sin.
Yeah. So like my question off of that was, what would be your top 3 like college uniforms? And I would say home uniforms rather than away uniforms. Mine would definitely be or only some of the Oregon only some of them, like the green, like the nice green one, that one, UCLA and LSU. Honestly, LSU has a pretty good one whenever they have a good year with uniforms.
So mine, I think, is I don't know why, but Texas, their uniforms speak to me a lot. They just do. I when I was younger, I just hated the burnt orange because I thought it was boring. But then I remember, I saw a couple tours, and I saw, when I was at Austin last October, and I saw some of these jerseys up close, I was like, they look sleek. Like, I just thought they were so clean and so simple. Like, that is the perfect scenario of so simple that it works. I think Michigan is up there also. I think Michigan does I think it's their helmet more than anything, but the navy blue and the maize contrast, it just works for me. I really like a bit of a shininess out there, and I think they execute that really well. And I'm probably going to go with USC number 3. I really like that garnet red and gold contrast also. It works well. I think they could pull off an alternate uniform off of it also if they decide to. But, Texas, Michigan, and USC, I think they do the perfect blend of tradition, simple, and they can just make it work 6 times out of the 12 games of the year.
Yeah, I mean, nothing. I disagree with that. I don't disagree with any of that.
I mean, what, are you going to have the top 3 also?
I told you my top 3.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
LSU.
so-
Well,
yeah,
oh
run
yeah,
it back.
yeah. Oregon, UCLA. No, sorry. Yeah,
You said
USC.
LSU for sure.
And LSU for sure on the like 3rd ish. I do like the LSU uniforms, even though I don't like playing them. Yeah, I mean, I just every year when they come out with new uniforms, and like, again, I'm going to speak for Arkansas because it's what I know the best. Like, every time they like make a change, sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's like, why would you even try that? Like, a lot of people like the retro uniforms, and like, that's fine and cool and great, but it's just like, when they make a bad uniform and they really try to sell it at any school, is like when it's kind of like, nah. UCA, so Central Arkansas, and their field, they're like purple and gray field. And their uniforms.
Is Central Arkansas the one that has like a different color per 5 yards?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yep.
sorry, they're disqualified from all lists just because of that alone.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that they're good. I'm not saying that they're good at all. It's just that
uniform would work totally fine. I really do like purple and like a silver and a purple and gray because TCU, they probably put off probably better than almost anybody. But
yeah,
but doing it like on a football field, just no.
Yeah, and it just and then their uniforms, it just makes their uniforms like really terrible and like very unprofessional. I mean, not professional.
It makes it
like,
hard to see.
It makes it hard to see. And so it's like, I mean, I get why we have red uniforms. Like, you can see them for sure. But our our dark ones, our charcoal ones are really nice. I wish they would pull them out a lot more. I wish a lot more schools would pull out some charcoal ones if they've got black in their school colors. But I don't know. I just, things like Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and Arkansas a lot of the times feel very boring. They just all seem like the same uniform. And when people bring up the fact that they are different uniforms sometimes, like there's like a variation of them, is like, oh, cool. I guess.
Before we officially close this out, I mean, I think the one thing I will say is one reason why I like Ohio State's a lot is because, how do I say this? They're proud of the scarlet, if that makes sense. So they try to bring out the scarlet as much as possible. And scarlet is a form of red, is a shade of red that is meant to pop out. It's meant to, it's not meant to be boring. Like I really don't want to throw shade at Alabama because they do have an iconic uniform, but like, I'm sorry, but like a crimson color is boring to me. I really hate.
It's not even crimson. Like the joke
Bro.
is that well, yeah, but like Arkansas and Alabama have the exact same Nike color. So when Nike produces their uniforms, they're using the exact same color. They're just changing the names on it sometimes. And I think that's hilarious because they're like, we're the Crimson Tide. And it's like, your color isn't even crimson. I mean, not saying Arkansas is any better for using the same color, but it's like, it's not original. It's not like the Scarlet, not at all.
All right, guys, I think we've officially run low on the time here. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Sorry for Brian's mishaps, blame his cell phone because he's not able to connect on his computer for some reason. Make sure you follow Fredi on her Twitter page, and make sure you follow me at Latino_chill. Fredi, how about you tell him your Twitter handle real quick?
Sports by Fredi, FREDI.
Okay, there we go. Follow Brian because he's not here to introduce himself. His is Acuna Batflip, as in Ronald Acuna, the baseball player. Make sure you follow us on the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We got some really good YouTube content coming up. We're doing Jeopardy. For all you Jeopardy fans, guess what? We're doing college football Jeopardy this week. We'll probably be released next Monday, so stay tuned for that. Once again, thank you for listening to this episode of the Transfer Portal CFB podcast presented by NoContextCFB, and you guys have yourselves a great rest of your night.